We're going to talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. Just as a reminder, this is the last lesson for this unit. So if you're missing any Pearson homework or you don't understand the topic, make sure you're reaching out to Ms. Sanders or myself so we can get you the proper help that you need. With that being said, parallel and perpendicular lines builds off of slope-intercept form, point-slope form, and standard form because we're really focusing on the slope between parallel and perpendicular lines. So, kind of having a little activity here for the first one. Graph these three equations using the tool. So let's say we do graph these. Before I graph it, see if you notice anything about the three equations. All right, so the first one I'm going to graph in purple. Minus the 1. Second one I'm going to graph it blue. And the final one I'm going to graph it in red. So, obviously my lines aren't perfectly straight, but write another set of 3 or more equations that have the same relationship as the first 3. So what do you notice about these first 3 equations? Hopefully you're sitting there saying, oh, they all have the same slope. They all have a slope of 3, right? So let's write an equation that has the same relationship as the first 3. Okay, I'm asking that you guys write 2 more. Here are just 3 that I came up with. Again, you're going to have already came up with 2, but notice they all have the same slope. So what is the equation of the line in slope-intercept form that passes through the point 8, 9 and is parallel to the graph of y equals 3/4 x minus 2? With all that being said, I hope you've noticed that parallel lines have the same slope. So here's what they're going to do. They're going to give you a point, and they're going to ask you to make it parallel to an equation. Well, look at this equation. What is my slope in this equation? Hope you're sitting there saying 3/4. So if I want to make it parallel to that one, I have to have a slope of 3/4 in my new line. So now here's what we do. We take a point and a slope, aka point slope form. Now we're going to convert the slope intercept form. So I'm going to distribute. I'm going to add my 9 over. And voila, I have an equation in slope-intercept form. Notice it has the same slope as the other line. That makes it parallel, but a different y-intercept. So parallel lines have the same slope and a different y-intercept. All right, so I'm going to challenge you to pause the video and try this next problem. Write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form that passes through the point -3,5 and is parallel to y equals -2/3 x. Hopefully you're sitting there saying your slope, if it's parallel, is -2/3. So I'm going to take my point, y minus 5, and plug it into point slope form. Use my new slope. So all I did was take this, plug it in here, this, plug it in here, and I use my slope. Now we're going to distribute. going to add my 5 over. Hopefully if you paused it and tried it, this is what you got. Y equals negative 2/3 x plus 3. Okay, so again, parallel means they have the same slope, different y-intercept. Right? Perpendicular lines are lines that intersect at a 90-degree angle. So perpendicular, here's one line, here's another. They form a 90-degree angle. Do perpendicular lines have the same slope? Well, the answer to that would be no. They have opposite reciprocal slopes. So here's an example. If I gave you a slope of y equals 3x plus 2, my slope is 3. Perpendicular slope, since it's opposite reciprocal, you take 3 over 1, because that's what this is. All right, we just don't write the 1 on bottom, and you flip it. And then I also change the sign from a positive to a negative. So my new slope would be negative 1/3. That's what it means by opposite reciprocal. So I'm going to throw one in here. M equals negative 1/2. All right, I want you to find the opposite reciprocal of negative 1/2. Hopefully you flipped it and you said it's a 2 over 1, and now it's positive. So we say our slope is 2. So these two would be perpendicular. So now instead of using the same slope, if it's perpendicular, we're going to use opposite reciprocal. So here's the example. What is the equation of the line that passes through the point 1, 7 and is perpendicular to the graph of y equals negative 1/4 x plus 11? Well, my slope is negative 1/4. I want perpendicular, so now I need to flip that slope, opposite reciprocal, and change the sign. So my new slope that I'm going to use is a positive 4. Now I'm going to take my point that they gave me and my slope, I'm plugging it in a point slope form. So y minus 7 equals 4 times x minus 1. I'm going to distribute. Get 4x minus 4. I'm going to add 7. Get 4x plus 3. Notice my slopes are opposite reciprocals. Okay? I want you to pause the video and try this next one. Write the equation of the line that passes through the point 4, 5 and is perpendicular to the graph of y equals 2x minus 3. So my slope is 2. That means my perpendicular slope is going to be 1 over 2, and now it's a negative. So this is my new slope, opposite reciprocal. I'll take my point, plug it in a point slope form. I'm going to distribute. I'm going to add my 5. And now I have the equation of my line in slope-intercept form. Notice my slope is negative 1/2. It's perpendicular to this red slope up here, which means I did the right thing. So the last thing they're going to do is they're going to say, are the graphs of the equations 3y equals negative 4x plus 6 and y equals negative 3/4 x minus 5 parallel, perpendicular, or neither? So here's what you need to do. You need to make sure your equations are in the same form. So notice this is in slope-intercept form, and this one is not. So again, the blue one is in slope-intercept form, the green one is not. But I can convert it to slope-intercept form. All right, if I divide everything by 3, I get negative 4 over 3x plus 2. Now, again, if I'm just asking parallel, perpendicular, neither, I'm looking at the slopes. So this one, are they parallel? Are they the exact same? Hopefully you say no. Are they perpendicular? Are they opposite reciprocals? Well, they're reciprocals, but are they opposite signs? No, they're both negative. So your answer to this one should be neither. All right, go ahead and try this one and this one. So try A and B. Y equals 2x plus 6 and y equals 1/2 x plus 3. Hopefully you say neither. Well, they're not the same, obviously. So they're not going to be parallel. They're not perpendicular because they are reciprocals, but again, they aren't opposites. So my answer would be neither. This one, I need to convert it to slope-intercept form. So I'm going to subtract my 25x. I'm going to divide everything by 5. I get negative 5x plus 1/5. What do you notice about their slopes? They're the exact same. So hopefully you say parallel. And that's parallel perpendicular slopes. So this one says the landscaper plans to install 2 new paths in a park. The new fountain path will be perpendicular to the east path and lead to the fountain. The new picnic path will be parallel to the fountain path and pass through the picnic area. What are the equations in point slope form that represent the new paths? So here's what we need to do. Let's find the slope of our east path. So let's start there. There's one point. That looks like 5, 3 to me. Here's another point. Looks like 10, 4. So let's find the slope of our east path. All right, so my slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I get 1/5. All right, so now let's start with the fountain. Its coordinates are 15, 2. The new fountain path will be perpendicular to the east path. So my slope is going to be the opposite reciprocal of our east path. So it's going to be a negative 5. So we're going to write it point slope form y minus 2 equals negative 5 times x minus 15. So that's my fountain path. It then says the new picnic path will be parallel to the fountain path and pass through the picnic area. What are the equations in slope-intercept form? So now if I want parallel to the fountain, that means I'm going to use the same equation. But now I'm going to use a different point. I'm going to use 5, 6 and write that. Y minus 6 equals negative 5 times x minus 5. Okay, so just really reading the problem and break it down what they want, guys. That is all I have. Your homework will be a Pearson assignment. Again, the test is coming up. If you have any questions, please reach out for extra help. Other than that, I hope you guys have a really, really good day.